We.
Hello.
We hello are.
Shoogle.
Hello.
Niff.
Welcome.
Two. And we.
Tings.
Hudson
Listening.
Records.
You.
With.
Have we started?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that was a great start as
Croft.
usual.
Oh, it was seamless.
Hello, we're Shooglenifty. Over at you, Ewan.
Hello, we're Shooglenifty and welcome to Sunday morning. We're going to start off with a tune called Billy's, which is written by Ailey.
Malcolm.
Ailey, you wrote a tune.
Well, in fact, Malcolm wrote it first, didn't you? And then Ailey wrote it again.
Ailey wrote a tune. I wrote a riff to go with the tune. And then Ailey wrote a tune to go with the riff.
Yeah,
So
milk
the riff
it.
runs through
Milk
two
it for all
tunes.
it's worth.
Should write a riff for that tune, Malcolm.
That could go on forever, couldn't it?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a unique way of writing a tune, eh?
Do it more often.
Do all of you just bring tunes?
It varies. I don't think I wrote anything that was actually a tune for this album. I have written a tune for other albums. So it comes and goes like the seasons and the tides.
Yeah, I've written a few tunes in the past, but none recently.
Yeah.
Just
I
been
wrote hundreds and they were all
concentrating
rejected.
But the argument is whether a riff is a tune. That was a regular argument through the whole album.
on riffs. I think riffs are tunes.
Exactly.
Well, you would.
Yeah. They're wee bits of tunes. Yeah.
I really like the mandolin on this at the start.
Well, thanks, Anthony.
It's the only bit, Ewan.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get to the bit about the conversation about the CBBS mandolin synth riff line later on.
Oh yeah, what happened to
too.
that?
Oh, that's coming later.
Could have put
Just
it
wait
just
for
at the
that.
end or something.
That almost reappeared on the gig the other day, didn't it?
Oh well, yes. I just didn't have my little. I didn't have my CBBS with me.
Someone stole it.
That's right. Sabotaged, I would say.
Yeah. Now this came
Disjointing,
together really beautifully. This piece of music. The first tune. It's really really special. It's cool.
It's a
Oh
great.
yeah, because
great
I
way-
only wrote that first part the day that we were doing the gig in the Lyceum, and then we played it that night. And then the second part came along later.
Wow. Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
right. I remember really the intro kind of grew arms and legs of its own.
Yeah. It started off really short, didn't it? And we just thought it was so nice.
Doesn't a tune a name that first tune? The one before Billy.
Yes, it's called Euphoric-ish.
Euphoricishness.
What's the story, Mel?
Story about Euphoric-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Angus and I were in a van coming back from a gig, and I was just about to drop him off. And we were talking about the gig that we just had, and said, yeah, it was a really good gig. The audience were quite euphoric. Well, euphoric-ish anyway. And Angus said, euphoric-ish? Sounds like a village up the west coast. Could be the name for the new album. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't, but,
So we did almost call the album Euphoric, didn't we?
there was
That
some
was
talk about
a
it.
contender, yeah.
Yeah. Out of the other 79 possible names.
Now that's what I call music.
That was the copyright one.
And that's what I call Acid Croft.
Unfortunately taken. Yeah.
That's what I call Euphoricish Volume 1.
Yeah.
Is that a kimono on your door, Mark?
So a kind of Chinese night gown
Nice.
dress thing. Yeah.
All I can see is the mirror
an
behind
empty
your.
one.
I've got a wiggly mirror.
Oh, first vocal.
Oh, aye.
First vocal coming in.
Can anyone guess what I'm actually saying?
It sounds like you're
Oh, it's
saying
actual words.
it sounds like that sea mammal, the dugong. Dugong? Dugong?
That's quite close, Queen.
Yeah.
It's not about dogging then.
You don't.
If it was, I
again.
would not be telling you.
So what's it all about?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Well, I'm not going to tell you now.
Oh no, don't tell.
So they're all. I think all of your non-specific lyrics are based on sea mammals. I think like there's kind of seal, and there's whale. Yeah,
I've always had a penchant for seals.
yeah, whales, dugongs,
You're the
occasional
boy.
manatee.
I thought it was a little like that style of singing in India.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is a little bit. I love Malk's riff in this track. In this bit.
Oh, thank you.
In the bit before.
In the A part.
The A part, yeah. It rocks, Malky.
This is the A part, actually. You guys just don't know your A parts from your B parts.
Alright, is this the B part?
It's very confusing. The A's and the B's and the C's and the D's and the yeah.
Did we not like?
It's the
Did
B
we
part.
not end up stealing one of Malt's guitar riff because it was actually a bass guitar part on one of these tracks?
Gary.
The guitar part in
Malky
oh
actually written a
wait,
bass
Silence
part.
of the Trams was Malk wrote a guitar part and I wrote a different bass part, and they didn't really go together, so I ended up just playing Malk's guitar part on bass.
Oh yeah.
And he does too. I'll play it on guitar as well sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes quite good on the bass and the guitar or double.
Everyone shush in a wee minute.
That bit was supposed to be a joke. Me and Ewan
Hello?
played that joke the first time, and then
That's
we thought,
true.
actually, we quite like
How
it.
do you see everyone?
Oh, first bit
This
of
is.
conga as
I
well,
was
you.
not playing this bit. Oh, it's just got a conga in it.
Oh, that was an
It's
interesting
good. It's nice and low in the
conversation,
mix.
How do you get to see everyone?
That's not for public ears, James.
And
We'll
that's
arm
the same
wrestle about it later.
conga. Yeah.
Was it Salsa Celtica who used congas first in folk music?
Yeah, they're a massive influence on me. Oh dear.
That was Ewan's argument, anyway.
James had a conga a long time ago. Yeah.
How do we get
In
to
fact,
see
you left
everyone?
one in an airport once.
Gallery view.
Gallery view, of course.
Don't know it on iPad.
Yeah.
I can look it up for you.
Yes. Hey.
Hey.
Did that conga not appear on the first album as well?
It did.
Ever
It's
since the first album,
snare
yeah.
as well, is it not?
That very same one.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Same conga and the same snare from Waiting for Conrad. Am I right in thinking that?
did I use that snare? I don't think I ended up using that old snare in this album.
Oh, did you not? Oh,
No,
you had it
no.
with you, but you
I had
never
it with
played
me
it.
though. It was in the room.
Mm.
Aye, just for luck.
Okay.
I know
It was
that's
just bringing some.
That conga was from way back in the Mouth Music days. It's a really great conga.
Oh, yeah.
It's a gong bop,
Yeah, it's nice.
and I think it was ended up in my possession
Gong bop.
through gong bop.
Was it Martin Swans?
It was Martin Swan's, but
Ah.
I either bought it or it was some weird transaction where he stole something of mine and I stole something of his, and we both kept it. I don't know.
I mean, you haven't given it back to him.
No, it's definitely mine. I definitely made a transaction for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
We might-
there was a pair. I remember the pair of congas.
Yeah.
We left the other
I
one in
remember them.
an airport.
Oh God! Yes.
Ah,
Did the other one get left at the airport?
No, that very conga. Sorry, this is a very long and dull story.
No, it's
Um,
great.
Great, that's just what we want.
We
Excellent.
flew in to play this gig in Wales. It was a big kind of cultural festival that was getting filmed. And my conga, I got into the van, and it was one of those chaotic scenes where everyone's packing the bags. You've just got off the plane from Madrid, and about 100 about 10 minutes down the road from Heathrow, I said, "Did anyone see my conga go into the back of the van?" And Angie said, "I'm 99.9% sure it went into the van." I said, "Well, that's good enough for me." And then we got to the gig, and of course there was no conga. Yeah. And at the time, it was a really crucial part of my kit, because all I played was a conga, a kick drum, and a tom, and a hi-hat. I had no snare, and the conga was like the snare. And we were getting filmed and everything, so I was like, what the fuck?
That's like one of your anxiety dreams.
So I went around the place and I was looking for a band. I was like, does anyone have a conga? And someone said, oh, this band, Emoniars, have a conga.
Oh,
I was like,
God, yeah.
Great. So I approached this band who are like a Welsh language band who were a cross between the Pogues and Bad Manners. They were like doing loads of cover versions, but they were big news in Wales. And I said to the guy, "Oh, hi, I don't want to bother you." He was getting dressed by his car. I'm in this band, Shooglenifty, and we've left my conga at the airport, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, could I borrow your conga? "Oh, I don't know, boyo, I don't know. I'll have to think about that." He was Welsh. In the meantime, I was phoning hire shops and everything, but no one would lend me a conga for the night. And it was, we couldn't get it together. And eventually, I said, "Look, I'll come back in half an hour." And I went back to him half an hour later. I said, "Look, is there any way, have you thought about that?" And at the time, his wife was blow drying his hair while he was getting dressed for the gig outside their car. And she was blow drying his hair and spraying hairspray onto it. And I said, "Excuse me, mate, have you thought about that conga?" He said, "Well, I'm afraid, listen, boyo, I'm leaving immediately after the gig and I'll be taking my conga with me." And I said, "Well, look, I could just bring it to your home address. I'll give you a deposit, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Look, I'm really desperate." It was a shit conga anyway, as it turned out. But he said to me, "I'm going to swear here, you might have to bleep this out." No, eventually, I must have been at him like a terrier, as Ewan refers to me. But he said, he turned out, he pushed his wife's blow dryer away and he said, "Listen, boyo, you're not using my fucking conga. And that's that." So that was that.
So what did you use?
Fun. I can't remember. I think I got hold of another conga, but it was a big flabby thing. It wasn't great.
And did you later discover that it was actually Tom Jones?
Yeah.
That was pretty much the week in the studio for me. Was just James story after James story about some shit that's
got all the
happened
stories.
It's great.
You should try it for 30 years, mate.
Well, funnily enough, Loudon Temple. I need to share this with everyone. Gary, Loudon Temple got in touch the other day and was saying, "I wonder if you could ask the guys and the gals, don't you think 30 years is a perfect time to write a book about the band?" And he's volunteering his services. Now, anyway, I just put this out there. I said, we'll consult and we'll wait till the damager gets back. And anyway, I don't think we need a big
with the whole world.
We've now consulted with the whole world, yeah.
Thank everyone.
Yeah, a children's picture book, maybe.
Just right at the side, should we...
Yeah. Put your pre-orders in the comment section.
We'll send you a link. We'll have it ready by Sunday.
I liked your Tom encouragement here, Andy.
Yeah.
I loved that, yeah.
Oh, here's Ailey's high note.
So, for anyone that doesn't know this album yet, this is called Black Dog on the Balcony. And we put it together in honour of being in India.
Yeah.
The jaw harp's great on this, Ewan.
Oh, thanks, Andy.
Yeah.
What have I done to deserve 2 bits of praise today?
First and only time.
I'm making notes of all the compliments. I'll add them up at the end.
Of all the albums I've done with Ewan, which is a few now, we've been holding off on the jaw harp like consistently. And I was like, look, if I ever get to work with Shooglenifty, then you can use it, Ewan. But until that point.
And I was delighted. I spent many happy hours recording jaw harp on this.
It'd be like Ewan on a Salt House album, you know, oh, I've got an idea for this, I'll just do this, whilst Jenny and Lauren are in the kitchen, and then, you know, they've just gone to make tea or whatever, and then we'll go down in a second, Andy, but I'll just do this first, and then you just see Lauren and Jenny just go as they're walking out the door, you know.
Pretty true. Yeah.
He's finally found a band to play with who doesn't say no to the jaw hat. That's nice.
Yeah.
That is good. Here's the Pink Floyd bit.
So this was a bit of a...
Very chilled.
This was kind of... took a bit of sorting out in mixing, wasn't it? I don't know whether we ever got to the point you wanted it to be at Kayla or not, or
Yeah,
there's like
no,
a few different ideas on it, weren't there?
Yeah.
I think we
love
got
it now,
to.
though.
I think most people. Yeah, I think everyone was really happy the way you got it, Andy. I think
Yeah.
did a lovely job. We're all delighted. Yeah.
I
There
just
were
had
so
to...
many different opinions coming in. There was like 8 different opinions from all sides, and you just
There was
ignored
a
all of
reference
us and just
actually.
carried on. It sounds great.
There was a reference though that James sent that really helped with this actually. It's an idea. A drummer used loads of delay and stuff on it. I can't remember who it was now. That
I was kind of playing delays manually on the snare, so I was thinking it could all get a bit. But yeah, no, it's got really good space now. It's really,
Yeah.
I love the space in it. Yeah.
we were exploring the space.
Really like this, and on the video that we did of this, Ailey managed to mix a whole cocktail in this gap before having to play the fiddle again. That's my highlight of the
That's quite
our
impressive.
video of this tune. It was very impressive, Ailey.
Good job.
That's right. Yeah. The Black Dog video turned out pretty good, actually.
Well, I really liked the live kick Milk Winner. My guy was dancing to this bit out the front.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. He had all the. It's like he knew it inside
His
out.
hands.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, that was lovely.
This was a bit of a challenge getting, because the tempo ramps up here, doesn't it? And it was a bit of a challenge getting that to sort of sit right.
Challenge for you, maybe, Andy.
Oh, you guys just did it first take.
Yeah, no, we spent a lot of time working on maps, didn't we? We kind of did a few takes and got the tempo maps together.
Yeah.
You'd done a lot of work beforehand with that, James, haven't you?
Yeah, I just approximated the tempos at home and made a template, but I knew they'd move. There's a few discussions over tempo.
Yeah, and I think it's nearly every track has a bit towards the end where it just is totally free of the click, apart from Air. I think it's the only one that's to the click all the way through, and I think that's interesting. I think it's good always to have a bit that's totally free.
Yeah, it's quite
totally free, man.
It's quite interesting because that's quite a different. Like for me, like I rarely work with clicks. Really rarely work with clicks. I mean, there's the odd thing. Actually, there was an album last week I was doing that we did use some clicks, but we sort of created loops to make clicks rather than mapping out something particular. You know, so it's quite interesting. I don't know if that's more common in sort of tune stuff up in Scotland or what, but yeah, it was quite it's quite a different way of working for me. I enjoy it. It makes post-production a lot easier actually.
Yeah. But what's when you actually kind of start looking at different takes and what if there's no click and you have different takes, the variation in tempo is pretty enormous. Like throughout, if something's not to a click, it's like it's going up and down, and even.
You saying James can't play in time over two different
it's just
takes?
a natural.
Oh, right.
It's just a natural thing that there's
a lot. That's it.
it's a good. I like that. It's a good
I
thing.
thought that's one of the things that Shooglenifty has always been quite proud of, isn't it? That's quite an organic band as opposed to on the grid. Right. And things can move about, and like there's always been that kind of argument of like it's a lot of played music, but it's not like tight, if you like. We do know when to stop and start, but anything else in between is kind of whatever happens.
Historically, there has been a lot of me whinging about everyone speeding up too much and me trying to keep it in a pocket.
I can vouch for that, having recorded the two of us together on our own.
You're not the worst, though, James. You're not the worst.
No,
because the natural thing is just as the takes go on, they get a bit faster. You know, it's just a natural thing. They're going to get faster and faster.
I like that.
And then.
Try to tell James
for the end.
But then it can get too fast, and you end up doing the last take and going, "That was brilliant. That was the last take," and it was actually a bit too fast, really, for the tune.
It was very interesting when we recorded East West in Galicia. So we spent a couple of days arranging the whole thing, and we did loads of takes to click, like masses of takes, maybe 8 or 9, and then the final take we did without click, which is quite a good way of working as well, because it meant that. And then I think it got shoved into a grid later on, but it just got us into a zone. And then we got rid of the click for the take, if you know what I mean. That was good. I enjoyed that.
It's a good way of doing it, yeah. And another good way of doing it maybe is just having like a click just to start you off. And then it to cut out after that. So at least you're starting from the same tempo each time, and then you're leaving it up to the band to sort of I've done that a few times. Which is
our worst bit of speeding up was when James wasn't even there, and it was in Poland. We were with Tom Bancroft on drums, and Angus said to him, "This one." They didn't know the tunes that well. Angus said to him, "This one speeds up." We were on stage, and he said, "This one speeds up." And so it just got faster and faster and faster. And he's a jazzer, Tom, so he kept speeding it up at a regular acceleration. It got totally unplayable. It speeded up, but didn't stop speeding up.
I think, in credit to you, James, that like you do provide quite a lot of cues for everyone to know when things are happening.
Totally.
So when we do have depth, which is very rare these days, it's things can fall apart. Like at Glastonbury, I seem to recall when we.
Well, those days are over. We're sure everyone those days are long
there was
gone.
a proper car crash. We had a proper car crash. I just started, and Donald Drummy was playing the drums, and it all fell apart anyway.
Well, it's the only time we've played 3 different tunes at the same time while thinking it was supposed to be that tune.
Everybody thought they were right.
Did you record it?
No, but Mary who was in the audience, she said, "That was fucking brilliant. I love that."
I must say though, on this album, it's definitely click-wise and groove-wise, it's the most successful album I think we've made in terms of working that way. It's all very much in the pocket and happening to my ears.
I think this is the most this is the most un-Shooglenifty one that we've done, this track that we're listening to here.
Yeah.
It's quite different, isn't it? It's quite tight and...
The interesting thing about that groove thing, just before we move on, is I'm really lazy and don't grid things up.
Noticed.
So cheers. I didn't chop that really at all. I mean, like maybe the odd sections that needed shifting or something, but I certainly didn't go through beat by beat changing stuff or bar by bar or anything like that. So the groove is all you guys live. And actually, I think you were. Was it only you having the click a lot of the time, Jeff? Or did everybody have it in their ears?
I could hear the click. I think we all had the click. I certainly was listening to the click in this one, because we could all do our own.
Yeah, we'd send them up and down, I suppose, if we were feeling didn't need it.
I seem to remember this track being the only track that sort of started in a slightly different way. It arrived on my session as already quite developed in terms of ideas. I wonder whether that might have maybe how it sort of became its own thing. It's kind of set apart from the other tracks a little bit.
Yeah, it was definitely the one that we didn't really know what we were doing before we got to the studio.
We did do a little pre-production on it. We did play it through up in Arisaig a couple of times, and we got into a thing, but we never got into.
What happens in Arisaig stays in Arisaig.
Yeah, of course.
But we didn't get a chance to play this one live, really. And I think that was a big difference between all the other tracks. We played all the other ones in New Zealand loads, but not this one.
I love that guitar solo there, by the way. Or the guitar riff thing there. And then this just screwed with my head when you gave me it, and it wasn't like.
This is. I absolutely love this solo now, Mel. Certainly classic.
It takes you a while to get into these things, but it's worth it in the end.
You've got to do your head woggle. I don't know how you do it, but you do a little head woggle. That's the one.
Well, it's pure Malky.
Yeah, and the little
to Malky.
A little bend down.
Dead Malky.
Haley, is this your tune?
Maybe.
Maybe. Or did you nick it?
Well, I think I had this bit of paper with it scribbled on, and it was like I'd come home from school one day, and it was on a school TV program, and I scribbled it down, and then I did try and find any kind of way of like finding out who'd written it or what it was, and I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
And I never kind of played it, although it wasn't like this, wasn't just me, it was like straight, like an air. And then when this came up and it kind of fitted, I was like, well, I think I'll just.
I'll have that one.
Did you say you thought it was an air before?
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because I remember you saying that, You thought you had an air.
Yeah.
So there's a chat about doing something else as well, and I was like, no, it's perfect. It fits so well.
It's
like
great.
Yeah, it does.
But the genesis of this melody was from the vocal melody was from Bread and Water, because you wrote a kind of rough melody that Kayla sang.
I remember
over.
we were jamming this really slow deserty groove.
Yeah.
In Queen's Shed. And
turned into
it just
Nigel's
jumped into my head that it needed to be like a little. Yeah, it was part of a really old set, and it needed some kind of Strass Bay vocal thing.
Yeah.
And I remember singing it. I've still got the recording in my phone, and then gave that to Kayla, and then that grew into. Well, we did it at the Night for Angus, didn't we? And there was a couple of really crazy intervals that you like that you chucked at the end.
Jana,
like,
Jana, it was a really full-on thing. But Jana had said she was kind of not that crazy about it. She left to check the merch stall, had a chat with someone, came back in, and we were still playing it. And it was like 12 minutes later. So
and then Gavin said Bridge fell over on his fiddle.
Oh yeah, wow.
I should say that
a car crash set altogether that night.
And Alan MacDonald did a lovely job of translating the words into Gaelic, but he was really creative with them.
Drink the cool liquid.
Oh yeah, because you were corresponding a lot with him.
Yeah.
And then you wrote the words Kayla in English, did you?
Yeah.
And he translated them.
Yeah, and he but he did it really poetically. It
sounds like a gentle.
It's lovely.
I love that snare at the end.
Nice reverb on the snare there.
Yeah.
Caressing.
I love the shaker here.
Oh yeah.
Lovely bit of shaking there.
Who played that then?
What's the synth at the end there?
That's
Andy,
my
It's off of
thumb jam.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
it's just it's a really cool app, and you can change the frequency of the oscillation with your thumb or your finger or your nose if you wish. Because it's
or
really cool.
Else.
Yeah.
And then that was Lindsay Warwick's poem at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for helping out with that overdub, Spad.
Oh yeah.
On the gig, I totally forgot to speak a line, but Spad sorted it.
Didn't seem to
Did
be
you do
that
an impression
obvious.
of James and speak it at the end?
Yeah, I just did it. Yeah. No, I'm glad it worked. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
I love the way the mandolins turned out at the beginning there as well.
Oh yeah, well that's because it's going through like 20 million effects.
Yeah, just saturating.
Doesn't sound like a mandolin anymore.
Or a swarm of Highland bees.
3 compliments for you now, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Jeez.
James is
No more.
James is right
more
to
than
down,
ever.
Mr. Moneypenny.
You feeling all right, Andy?
It's making me think about New Zealand. This actually, it's making me think of that gig when all the young folk were up the back and they just came dancing down the aisle, sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Where that? Do you remember town?
Yeah,
Big
it was in a big marquee, that one.
Yeah. It's
Oh
making
yeah,
me
the
think of
big
that.
strange marquee.
Where Kayla fell off the stage.
No.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, that's where you fell off.
Was it that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The steps disappeared.
Yeah. That was the best bruise I've ever had. I love Malky's riffing this again. How many
thank you.
how many compliments is that for Malky? Jeez,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's three each.
Quality riffage in this album.
Got it written down here.
Who's gonna win?
That's 15 quid, you Kayla now.
I think I'd been listening to Booker T and the MGs and I set about this one.
Oh yeah.
So I got a kind of Atlantic, Staxy kind of feel for it. I think.
Yeah, I was sad that Bruce never asked us the name of this tune the other night when we were on the radio.
Well,
Yeah.
there's no
Is
need
it-
to bring it up now, Ian.
Okay, well. I won't speak about acronyms.
Yeah.
I think this chorus is about you, Ailey.
Is it?
It's got your name in it anyway.
How many takes did it take you to do the BB, Sally?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I think it was one.
Yeah, it wasn't many.
Well done, Haley. That's one for you.
Because it was gin o'clock, so that's right.
That always helps.
You lot never drank on the recording session, did you?
Only after you went to bed, Andy.
Did you see a marked improvement in the takes right about gin o'clock, Andy?
I think there was one morning where Haley was quite. I don't know whether you were hungover, but you must have had. It probably wasn't morning either. It was probably like 2 p.m, first take or something. And I thought, I don't know if Haley's going to manage to do this take, but there was absolutely no issues with the fiddle whatsoever. You know? It was quite clear you were
20 years of practice.
seasoned.
She's
I think
It's a kind of an evolution thing, I think.
I think there was, one morning when I thought I would have ages to just potter about in my jammies, getting my head together, and then you came through and said, right, we're going to do Brutus.
Yeah.
It's funky.
Oh, this is great. Yeah.
Was this was that's a
Great
really
bass
funky
line.
bass line.
Yeah. This is the closest we got to my folk daft punk ideal.
Ah.
Folk punk, no. Daft folk.
That doesn't have the same ring to it, though, does it?
No.
The guitar riff's a bit of a nod to Venus, isn't it? Malky?
What, the Venus and Tweets riff?
The little run, the guitar riff, the run basically, the up and down the scale.
The outro
Similar
was
to-
an
is it Venus?
improvisation.
You know? Is it?
This is all just
I
a
just
jam,
thought it
wasn't
was
it?
a wee nod to that album, yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just inherent in you.
Must be.
I think weren't we trying to figure out a way to finish it, and then Malk started playing that, and then we was like, well, just go down into that and just dissipate into nothing, and I think it worked really well there, actually, of a way out.
I think it was maybe 10 o'clock and we'd all just disappeared.
So, like, we should probably tell everyone that the album was done up at Watercolour Studios. Where exactly is it? It's opposite Fort William. Isn't it? Or like,
Well,
Well,
Arctic Hour is the
Hour.
nearest.
That's the way they describe it.
You can see. We saw the top of Ben Nevis for like 6 days running or something.
Oh, it was amazing! It was amazingly clear.
Yeah,
when I walked out of the studio one night, I literally just about walked into a stag.
Yeah,
I was just like, it was totally pitch black. I couldn't see. Another night, I tripped over one of these barrels, handy barrels that was had a kind of whoosh in it. I tripped right over that and fell over because I couldn't see a thing. But another night, I just about walked into a stag. I was just like walking along, and I just heard this. This breathing, it was really freaked me out. And then they all
thought it was Gary initially, but then
and then they just took off, and then I could see them as there's a bit of light caught them as they went around the corner. But they were right next to me.
I've never seen that many like stags that close before. That was amazing. And like we saw a sea eagle one day. I thought it was a radio controlled airplane or something going up the valley.
Some great starry skies as well.
Yeah, it's just up the road from my mum's house.
Yeah, and Andy got to know all the breakdown guys there as well, eh?
Yeah, I broke down on the way back, -7, and only took about 3 days for my car to make it home. But I got a nice hire car in Glasgow and heated steering wheel and all sorts. It was great. But
you pulled the all-nighter, did you? To get all night.
The all-nighter, and the guy actually could see me from the other side of the water. But obviously I've missed the last ferry, but he had to drive all the way around.
He had to drive,
nightmare.
He put me on the back of the truck. This was at about 11 o'clock on Sunday night, and he put me on the back of the truck and he drove, and he did not slow down through Glencoe, and there was so many deer at the side of the road, and you just seeing all these eyes light up, and I was like, mate, I think we're going a bit fast through here. It was amazing, but.
So you would have had to drive up all the way around. You would have passed Kayla's mum's house, round onto the, Glenfinnan
Malay
down
Road,
through Fort William.
Yeah, it was pretty mental. But
there was always Sorry,
I was just going to say. So the studio was like Spad had been, and this is for the benefit of the people at home rather than you guys because you were all there. But Spad had been up for Gary was kind of there.
Gary, you definitely weren't there.
Spad had been setting up for a few days before I got there because I was on a different tour and then managed to come up. And so we had drums off in a booth, didn't we? Quite a dry booth, and then a big space with where various things happened, didn't they? And
the main room we had bass, Quay Malcolm on guitar with his 2 amps, and Gary, you were in the corner, weren't you? On the banjaks in the main room as well. And then we had Ewan and Ailey in a sort of dry booth with a big glass window to the main room.
Teetotal booth.
Yeah, a few funny.
I was going to say it wasn't dry when we were.
A few funny things happened. There was a kind of I was blaming a DI box for this kind of like crackly banging sound that was coming from my down my bass line. I was like, oh, it's bloody DI box. Need a different DI box. And then one day, it just the bass just completely cut out before take, and I realised it was actually the battery lead had come undone. And just it needed solder the battery lead together.
Kept that.
Well, it's the last thing. It's the last thing you think of.
I thought we were all blaming that on Malcolm.
But me and Ewan's room also doubled as Malcolm's bedroom.
That's right.
I was in Gary's bedroom.
Every day it was find a wee pair of socks.
Well, and I and when I got there, you all said, Ewan was like, "Oh, you can share my room or whatever," and I was like,
Anytime, Andy.
I think I'll sleep in the control room because it's nice and quiet and slightly separate. And when the party's going, I can just take myself off there. Yeah, which is good. But it's a great studio. Great. I mean, I'd love to be back there. Amazing place.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? How much are there elements, would you say, of the production in this that you are referring to our first two albums?
Me?
Yeah.
Not consciously. No, I don't think. Well, maybe, you know, I've listened.
To me, it feels like it's part of the same set, you know.
That's nice, because I love those albums, and I listen to Shoogles a lot, and I guess it was interesting. That was an interesting thing where we talked about, like, just before, sort of influences, what people wanted stuff to sound like. It's pretty an eclectic mix coming back from you guys on the WhatsApp group, which incidentally the WhatsApp group is insane when it gets going. But like, I guess your first two albums are two of the my most listened to. So I guess it's just osmosis.
I thought you still put your thing on it, though. You know, you managed to get your. It's a certain sound. It's very kind of natural sounding, whilst still being Shooglenifty. You know,
that's kind of what I do.
There was a lot of chat about. It is kind of what. Yeah, you definitely like your rooms, and you definitely put us into spaces.
But that was interesting. It was really what was interesting to me was working with Spad on it, because I don't work with other people engineering very rarely. I mean, like a handful of times I could probably say I've worked with other engineers, and of course I've done stuff in studios where there's been a house engineer or an assistant engineer who is basically an engineer, you know. But I end up just jumping on and pushing them out of the way and doing stuff. And this was one of the first entire albums, Ewan's gone, where I actually only literally didn't touch barely anything, I don't think. I mean, we had a few conversations about mics, didn't we, Spad? But that was your realm, and you were like, that was.
And did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy it for that?
It's totally different mindset for me, and I think it was really like, I don't know how it would have worked if that would be the case when mixing it. I'm not sure, because I think so much of my production actually ends up in mixing space. But I think it was exactly what we needed on it as well, because there was so much going on. And the music, the tunes, the sets, everything are so involved that actually, if I didn't have the headspace to think about that because I was worrying about a mic not working, or you know, and that's what was great, and so it worked really well, and I really enjoyed working with you, Spad.
Yeah, I think you guys worked great together.
Yeah, and credit to you, Spad. You bought loads of new gear as well. I mind you bought a couple of new interfaces, and you know, you put in a good shift.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. It was really good, and it was great to work with you, Andy. And there was definitely moments throughout the recording process where there was a lot of technical things happening that I was juggling, and then you were already through dealing with something that was needing to be dealt with, and that was really good. Just so there was a bit of sort of passing the baton as well, which was really good, and you didn't have to sort of even say. We just went and did it, which is good, which is great. It kind of takes an awful lot of the pressure off overall for everyone. So it was good. It was good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and it was really I found it challenging, and I think part of it was probably me and you, Spad, had a conversation. Actually, I think I was sat in pit. I was doing this Jenny Sturgeon album that's coming out on Hudson next month. And I was up in the Cairngorms, and the only bit of phone signal I could get was about 3 miles away in a wood. So I just drove there and sat in the pitch black because I was worried about the battery on my car running out. I was rightly worried about my car, obviously. And I was sat in pitch black, and it was Halloween. And when I switched the car engine back on, I was expecting there to just be like monsters around,
surrounded by faces at the window.
But like, I remember us having a chat, and I think part of it is our mutual love and admiration of Shooglenifty actually really helped. And I mean, I'm not blowing all your trumpets, but you know, that's that actually really helped us get into it and be sort of working together on it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. and it kind of helped us sort of see that we were both aiming in the same direction with how we felt
and
what
keen,
we could do.
Yeah, and really keen not to fuck it up, basically.
Yes.
Well, we'll have to do it again.
Hopefully we didn't. But I don't know, the record sale numbers will tell. But but yeah, I think it was really, really intense week.
No, you did an excellent
certainly
job.
From my perspective, I don't think I would have been doing music in the way I have done with the bands I've done if it wasn't for the Shoogles, like particularly the first couple of albums, were just like a game changer. It's like to hear those albums and just go, oh, this is what can be done with folk music and sort of like sounds that are not trad sounds.
I'm just going to hide under the table for a little while at this point.
Yeah, we weren't talking about you, James, but it was.
I know.
It was. But what?
Enough of that.
The music's bad. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
we were.
But it was funny because there was a Croft number 5 like as well. When I found out that you were in them, like I rang my best mate up at home and I was like, "Do you remember that track that we always used to listen to?" And then that album, and it was like, I'm going to be working with the guy who's playing them, and it was quite funny. Yeah, so worked out well.
Revolution is raging in Scotland.
Oh, my guy.
At this minute in time.
This is my guy McGlynn, the resident warrior poet of Balquhidder.
And dance, which spells mad, in Scotland.
Bad?
Yeah.
Just wondering, where was the first time you ever heard Shooglenifty?
There shall be no casualties. Mental.
The Somervilles, Nisha and John Somerville, got the Venus and Tweed CD.
Right.
And I was over at their house and we were listening to in the living room of Abriachan. They grew up in a house in Abriachan. And they had a really good sound system in there, really nice hi-fi, really good bass sound, and we had that album blasting. I was just like, whoa, this is cool.
To watch reflecting in the sun.
And a very fancy
in a clean new world
CD player.
Which has begun.
Back when CD players were very, very expensive.
Technology.
There is only love, which has no pain.
Who did the recording of My Guy? Was that you, Ewan?
Yeah, I recorded him it was just sitting in my van one rainy night.
Great.
I've made it my personal mission to try and record as much of his poetry as possible. I think he's a really unique guy, and there's not many guys like him around really these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just, he lives completely off grid. He lives in a little bender. It's like his backstory is amazing. All he does is go around he goes to a lot of festivals actually, but when there's no festivals on the go, he just hangs around and just talks poetry to people, and it's amazing. He spends a lot of time writing really unique stuff because he has a lot of time to think about it. And, I've got about 6 hours of recordings of him. I just went round to his house, and so that's just one of his classic poems that he's come up with.
And how does he feel? Does he enjoy being recorded? Is he just like?
I think he's secretly. Well, he's got his message. He's got this big message to the world, and it's essentially based around that sort of the sentiment in this poem that we've used on this track. And he spends a lot of time. When people go and record, quite a lot of people go and film him and stuff. And I think he secretly loves it. And as was proven on the video that we did the other day, he was like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. As soon as he came on stage and in front of the camera, he was like, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Right on it.
Yeah.
It was great.
And him and Angus, I just love the whole idea of, because Angus would be hitching up north and Maggie would be hitching down south, and I just had this image of the two of them like meeting on the road in their eyes, meeting like in a spaghetti western, because Angus didn't give him the time of day at first for ages, because he was just like, oh god, you're just far too much, just chill out. And Maggie always tells me, he's like, every time I go and every time I used to see Angus, he was like, man, I get it. You don't need to shove it down my throat. I get it, man. You know. It took him ages to be like, okay, right. You know, you don't need to perform for me. You know what I mean? He was like, I'm with you, sort of thing. But yeah, I think they kind of had some good moments, sort of latterly. You know.
What's the
that
story?
little breath is interesting. That little moment back there is a bit where it's like it just kind of does that New York thing, and it doesn't fall into the tempo you think it's going to. It kind of holds back. At first I didn't like that, but I kind of really like it now. That's a drummer thing.
This little bit was supposed to be in honor of like Peepera on the pipes. Just those little notes going about. And, it's a four-part bit. It's a four-part tune, really. And all of them
is that what it was, Ewan?
Yeah, the original tune I started writing in Applecross.
Yeah,
when Angus is
that
still
now.
alive, actually.
It does have a Peebrook sort of thing going on right now.
Yeah.
I remember when we first played it in Cree's Shed, and you gave me the music, but it was just a piece of paper where you'd draw on all the lines, like 5 lines for each stave, and then draw on all the notes in, and I was just going,
with no bar lines.
What the hell is
I was trying to write like the early monks used to do it at like 50 lines. You know.
This one really came alive live.
It did, didn't it? Gigging it, yeah, really turned this into like such an emotional track every time.
Yeah.
I only just figured out what the last line is, Kayla.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Time to sing the dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does she mean? And of course it's, well...
And Sarah McFadden has written a tune called Angus Grant Sings the Grateful Dead as well, eh?
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angus Grant named that.
Oh, did he?
Aye.
Angus
I
Grant
played it in the pub, and Angus said, "Oh, I love that tune. That's a beautiful tune." And Sarah said, "Well, I just wrote it. I don't have a name for it." And she said, "I'll name it after you if you want." And Angus said, "Oh, well, you could, but everyone will just think it's from my dad." And she said, "Well, what can I say about you that everyone will know it's you and not your dad?" And he said, "Well, I sing the Grateful Dead." My dad definitely doesn't do that.
Brilliant.
Neither did he.
It's like it's got that double meaning, Taylor, as well, that line, you know, it's like really sad at the same time. It's like a fucking boot in the face with a massive punch. Like the first time I heard it, I was like, in bits.
Whereas it's actually about something that is really... You're thinking about
beautiful moments, really.
Yeah, no, totally, that's what it's about, but it just means, I suppose, it's 3 things, you know, it's like, one of those little magical things that happen sometimes.
But when he sang the dead, it was always after Willing O'Clock.
Yeah.
It was
After Willing.
Willing.
Usually
Willing.
after Willing.
I've got a friend here, she was saying every time she heard that track she was finding herself in tears, and she was saying, I think it's because I recognised so many of the place names, it's all where I grew up and everything. And she said, and I never thought that I would ever be in tears at someone singing about the cool community centre.
That was where we did probably one of our first big gigs, me and Angie and Ian McFarlane. We played at Cool Community Centre. That was a big moment in our lives. When we were in Pennycroft.
And Malcolm's played there too.
Brilliant.
Cool Community Centre is a big part of my life as well, because it was the day that I met James and Fee and all the rest of them.
Oh, really?
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my eldest sister Sarah was going out with Malcolm's pal Nick, and they were in a band called Zed and the Arabs. And they were still at school, and Sarah and Fee organised a gig. Thought we'll have to get them up to Fort William, and organised a gig in Cool Community Centre.
Yeah.
And what were some of the songs you did? You all wore eyeliner and looked really cool. And you played Come On, the Bowie stuff. What was the Bowie tune you did? Come on. We really got a good thing
hang on to yourself.
Yeah, hang on to yourself.
Yeah.
And a load of your own
like
stuff.
That, yeah.
And then I think you got barred because when you played a Pistol song at the end, did you?
We did. We just pulled that one out because it seemed like the right thing to do.
Yeah, and the light got broken. There was a fucking there was a kind of virtual cool community riot, and all the kids went mental. And some of the lights
fire
got
extinguishers all got set off.
Dear.
We were banned, and all other punk bands subsequently.
Yeah.
Paving the way again, Mal.
The song of the troll.
Shooglenifty trying to play a polska.
We're trying to make it sound as little like a polska as possible.
That's right.
Every time you played it like a polska, you were going, "Oh no, we can't do that."
Oh, you can't do it like that. I've accepted defeat now, and I really like it.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's polska meets dub reggae for me. It's like a big fat dub reggae groove underneath a polska works every time. Yeah.
The tradition, the Swedish polska tradition of dub.
I'm pretty sure the first time we played it, I played something very close to this bass line, and then you all went through all the things of, oh no, well don't play that on the one. You just like shift it to the 2 and the 3 and the 3.5, and then we went through this whole process, and then it all got shifted back to how it was at the start again.
I was trying to get you to play the 3-1 all the time. It was all about the 3-1.
That's a bit like
No, there's
Shooglenifty on the road.
a bit of element in there still.
That's like the Shoogles on the road, eh? You go to the first place to eat. And you go, no, we can't eat here. Go around about 10 other places, and then you always end up in the first place again.
And this was a tune written by Ian Carr, no less. Props to him.
Called A Bigger House.
Yeah.
I'd like a bigger house.
Yeah, he got broken into how many times in that house? Multiple times.
You lost somebody. Gary.
Yeah.
Gary's. Oh, Gary's.
Oh, there he is.
Right.
Yay!
Stop talking about it now.
10% battery.
This break turned out lovely, Gary.
Here he is.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Lovely.
Nice.
Dub, man.
The thing on the guitar, the what is that guitar vibe? Well, it's like a vibrato or
the tremolo, I think.
Tremolo.
Yeah. I like a slow tremolo.
Yep. I like a fast tremolo as well.
The Westminster, was it?
Yeah, his anti-cam.
Yeah. Can't remember which app I used on that. It might have been.
It's actually because it reminds me of the early albums just because of the time signature. Hello. Always feel very pleased with that turnaround there.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great moment live. I always get like, oh, here we go. Oh, look at that. Love that.
This is my Teletubby moment. Still couldn't get Andy to turn it up anymore. I had a really cool effect on the mandolin. It was like really weird. It's like
in this one, yeah.
It's like a little synth sound on the mandolin. And Malcolm said, and I remember it distinctly, he said, "Ewan, this is the worst sound I've ever heard in my entire life."
I agree.
I remember that, yeah.
I think it was, this is the worst thing I've ever heard on a Shooglenifty record. But it was, I was trying to be tactful about it and like thinking, Ewan, I'm not normally that tactful with Ewan, but I was thinking, I think he's a bit precious about this particular line, so I should maybe like just let him do it. Just let him do it and then mute it.
Really ironic. I found it really ironic that Malcolm of Shooglenifty, of like most experimental band on the planet, was like, that's a bit weird.
Fundamental thing with this screw.
Experimenting and
Do you remember the fact that no one could hear the downbeat in this rehearsal? In the rehearsals,
nobody could what?
Everyone had a different idea of where the downbeat was. For like, and it was like.
I think that was a good thing in the end because it made it. People were on different beats.
I know, yeah, that's great. But
yeah, for some reason I thought it was in 3/4, right?
I still believe you think the downbeat is in a different place to where it actually is, though, which is fine. But I'd love to know.
Eventually, I learned where the downbeat should be, and I have to play that on another part of the tune, and then keep reverting back to the old way as well, which was actually quite hard.
Nice
banjo. This is the bit where I'm onto the proper downbeat.
Yeah.
Great banjo solo, Gary.
Yeah.
Your best one on the record, I'd say. It's the rhythm of it.
Yeah, this set kind of really starts working for me here.
The hardest tune to play on the album.
The funny thing about that last tune as well was that my pal actually was talking about the community centre, the music centre in Ballick High School, and Tia, who wrote that last tune, had taught it to the kids in the school, and it was kind of their signature tune. And when I gave her the album, she said she was like listening to it in the car, going, "Oh, this is great," and then, "Fuck, what is that? Ah, that tune!" I've heard that tune for hours and hours and hours somewhere in the past life. I would have seen it in the practice room.
Nice bass action there, Andy. With whatever you did.
I can't remember. Is this the one we put a phaser on it or something?
Squelchy.
Yeah.
Tell us, what is your?
I was wondering why last tune called. Why is the last tune called "Thanks, Fred"? Is it to do with squat lobsters?
Oh, I remember all the squatties he gave us for the rehearsal in the studio. Yeah.
Oh, is that tune called "Thanks, Fred"?
Yeah, Thanks, Fred.
So which one's
the
Hot
first
Tubbers?
one?
The first one.
Oh no, that's in the next set.
Oh right, okay, of course it is. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Oh,
the bells.
Oh, the bells.
There's the bells on.
That's what when I pick the kids up from nursery now, because we've got 2 at nursery, they're like, "Oh yes, the bells." They'll often get the 2 kids.
You subject your kids to this in the vehicle.
That's a mental effect on the vocal there, Andy. I really like that.
Yeah.
Can't remember what.
Yeah.
So this is the Red Hot Tubbers, James.
Right.
And who is this about exactly, Ailey?
Well, it's actually quite a sad story.
Oh.
Yeah, see, at the start, just before the start of lockdown, I started a new company. Myself and a few of my friends. And basically, our mission was to go around testing out hot tubs, seeing basically how you could push the boundaries, what they could take in terms of abuse, making sure that they were fit for purpose.
Yep. The resilience of the hot tub.
Yeah, unfortunately, lockdown put an end to worthy endeavours.
There was a hot tub's maintenance startup.
Exactly.
Was it all inspired by the time you exploded a hot tub in Amsterdam?
No, that was just what gave me the idea. Yeah, so I inspired by it. Yeah, but it was when we were meant to go and play the Shooglenifty gig in Night Out.
Oh, yeah.
All my friends booked the house for the and then it didn't happen, but we went anyway. Realised,
That's right. Someone. Yeah, doesn't matter. I thought.
Hot tub. And you think you might need to?
Well, I look forward to making the video for this one. That's for sure. Dice in the pot.
Dice in the pot.
Dice in the pot.
This was almost frighteningly together on the gig the other night, I thought.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit. Wow.
Sometimes it's the most scary tunes that you put together that are the ones that you play the best because you worry about them more than any of the others. Yeah.
I like the shakers coming in there.
Yeah, no, it's nicely done.
There's so much going on in this tune. I'm glad we cut out. I mind that there was loads of stuff happening, and it was like we need to get rid of some of it.
This is quite frightening.
This is this was doubled through my little Siggy amp as well, wasn't it? Which sounded
was it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've got it.
There's another line in there that I don't recognise, and that must have been put on later.
Yeah.
Underneath the electric guitar.
I wondered where that
It's like a French police siren, isn't it?
That's me.
French ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
We'll
one.
actually talk about it now.
Horror movie.
French ambulance on it.
I thought it was accentuated.
I think I put some big old bits of reverb on some of the floor toms on this as well.
Yeah, it's good.
Quite well.
What's in here, Kayla? What's in here?
Right, let's have a competition to see.
I think she's
Over to
saying,
you folks.
hey ho, my dearie, get down, get down.
Hey ho, my dearie.
Hey, Nonny, no.
Hey, Nonny, no, get down
Nonny, no.
with your iPad.
Yeah, Nonny, no.
Nonny, no, get down. What are you singing?
My peerie dearie. I had to consult Gary on this. We decided it, yes. Get down my dearie, my peerie dearie.
Is that rude?
My wee dearie. Shetlanders will understand it, and Orcadians probably.
Oh yes, the ending.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Key change.
I really thought it'd be a good idea to modulate.
That's a good idea. In fact, I can play the end of it.
Obviously did a really good job.
I actually can't believe you left that bit in.
Very honest, this bit, I think.
Yes, fucking nailed it. I can't believe you left that bit in.
You got bleeped out, Ailey, on the BBC with that bit, eh?
Oh, really?
Oh, did you?
Brilliant.
They must have spent like, that was classic BBC. They must have sent some, because you wouldn't have noticed it. No. They just went, thank you and good night. Yeah, nailed it. It's like, they must have just gone in and,
They totally took out the sweary.
It didn't even bleep, it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
It just takes away all the meaning from behind it. No one will get that track anymore.
Last track.
Wow.
Another quality Malky. It's almost like this is like the duality between the intro and the first track and this last one. It's very Malky. As Luke sent a message from Australia, previous mandolin player, saying Malky played a blinder on this album.
Yeah.
Oh, totally,
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this Angie's tune coming up?
Yeah, this is
Trams. It is
amazing.
amazing.
Is it the last tune that Angie ever wrote, do you think? Or is it like one of the last tunes that he ever
Well,
wrote?
there is
it was on the go
coming
for
out.
quite a while.
Yeah.
Could have been.
Yeah.
I remember going and playing it in his kitchen when he made soup, when he lived high up in New
Haven.
Yeah. So that was quite a while before he was living at his sister's, eh?
Yeah. And I've got a recording of us playing it here in the shed with Angie.
With Angie?
Yeah.
Have you? I'd be interested to hear how he plays it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really different.
Very different.
Why didn't you tell us that when we were stressing how it went?
But Angus didn't know how it went.
Angus didn't know how it went.
I can't believe you actually had a recording of Angus playing it. We were like, I think he played it like this. Oh no, I think it was like this. Did you drop this beat here? I don't know. And you're like, you've got a fucking recording.
I think the questions came down to how the parts fit together. That's generally what used to happen.
Yeah, and I think Angus just dropped beats when he felt like it.
I just love the way that you can go like this all the way through it.
Yeah.
James has been trying to get me to play a shaker part like that all the way through it, and not succeeding.
In fact, that's a click I wrote for the guide.
Yeah, so this is the bass line that Malky wrote.
Yeah.
And you just followed it straight, Acre, because it's such a cool line. So, like, head twisting.
Ali Begg was asking yesterday, what's the time signature of that tune?
Ah, well, I have the answer. I'll tell you what I worked out was the entire time signature for the whole thing. 8 bars of 7/4, followed by 5 bars of 3/4, and then 1 bar of 5/4, then 6 bars of 3/4, and then the next section of tune is 16 bars of 3/4, and then it goes back to the 8 bars of 7/4.
Alright, tell Ellie to stick that with
That's
that.
it.
We need to get that.
Just phone him up, Mel.
Yeah, and then the rest of it's in reverse, right? You just do that.
It's a palindromic set.
Because this was the one when I was listening to some of the demos. I was on tour and I said to the guys in the van, "Here, have a listen to this. What's the time signature on this?" And like, that was the next half an hour gone with everybody having an argument about what it was.
And this is Tom and Lisa, tune for Tom and Lisa of Monaco Moor, where we filmed our gig 3 weeks ago, was it now? 4 weeks ago?
It was just, 3 weeks ago, eh?
Yeah. They've been really helpful over the years, giving us gigs in Moor 84.
Lovely wee sessions there.
It's quite evocative.
We used to go there and play with
this.
Angie.
It reminds me a bit of Luke's tune, The Patient Nurses, actually. There's something, it's about the groove. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Patient nurses.
Patient
Nurses, yeah.
I think this bit of the tune as well, like I had my best mate Ben will be able to confirm this, but I had the Nordal Rumba as my ringtone.
All right.
You know when you could do your own ringtones back in the day on my Nokia, and I had Nordal Rumba, and it's got that kind of lightness of that tune set as well.
You mean back in the day when you had to write it all in note by note?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's evocative of buying a blanket, but then every 6 or 9 days, you know,
that's the thing. It was definitely written with that sort of thing in mind. Like, it's funny how you can bring to mind like a style of Shooglenifty tune. I try not to do it too often, but you can think about like previous tunes and be like, you know, that's definitely a Shooglenifty thing, you know.
Excellent. Yeah.
I don't know what that. I don't exactly know how to define that, but certain tunes fit the band, you know.
It's definitely the kind of most folky tune on the album. This one.
Yeah. Well, these kind of jiggy things can't get away from sounding folky.
No, It's great. I really like it as the end of the album.
Yeah, it's just so light, isn't it? It's like I think. It's
This is America. This is America.
Where did you get that from?
It reminds me of that tune by
Lemon Jelly?
What's His Face?
Oh.
All right.
Gambino.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
kind of African with the vocal over it. Yeah, which is cool.
Angie did
way to
say,
end the record.
Oh, it's lovely.
Angie did say to me quite near the end, actually, said, well, Kayla, I did write a few good tunes.
Yeah, what's amazing about Silence of the Trams is that the first part of it is so chilled out, because it was, when we first played it, was now you'd never imagine it would end up as a chilled out tune, because it was just really, really manic.
Yeah.
And it ends up, the intro of it is just so chilled out.
Yeah, it's lovely.
I love that. When you let us hear that intro, Malky, I got quite emotional, actually, listening to that. It was just a very, very sweet bit of music.
Yeah, I guess you'll always try and find a part that loops eventually. That's your kind of go-to when there's a tune. And that must have been quite a nightmare to get that one to sit neatly.
Well, I went through quite a few permutations before settling on that, I think.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, would you like to hear the compliment scores?
Yeah, go on then.
Andy's in the lead with 6 compliments, general compliments to one and all. It's followed by... That's it, actually. No. Span's given a one big one beauty. No, there's a few compliments flying around. That's great.
Right,
we're all winners.
Yeah, we're all winners. Everyone walks away with ego intact.
Everyone's a winner, baby.
I wasn't counting the ones we were giving you, actually.
One of the things I was most pleased about was the way the vocals sounded on the album. I thought it just absolutely brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
cool.
It's
all aspects of it as well, like the sound of the voices, the harmonies were really good, and the way that it was produced by Andy and Spad sounded great.
It was kind of quite good because Kayla got to mess around with stuff after
later.
After we recorded, so ideas could pop up in the home studio environment, because you didn't have a lot of time really because you were teaching.
Yeah, I only got up for the last weekend of the recording, so it was great to be able to take the recording away and work to it afterwards and put ideas down, because things came later.
lucky boss. We should send a copy to Radio Lochbroom.
Oh, yes.
The guy was like, how come it says there's vocals on the album, but when you listen to it, there's no vocals? There's no denying there's vocals in this album.
Is that the dark side of Lochbroom?
Yes. Hey.
Sorry. It was a total privilege and pleasure to spend a week with you guys up in
we'll have
the West
do it
Coast.
Again sometime.
We're all allowed to.
Absolutely. Likewise.
Legends. We didn't drive you too nuts.
No, I mean, I think...
Did we get you in a wig? I can't remember.
You are the most Spinal Tap band I've ever worked with.
I'm not quite sure how to do that.
I just don't know what you mean.
And Jane Ann said to me...
Stone Circle.
Jane Ann said to me when I put that on the WhatsApp group, you lot are like total Spinal Tap. She was like, the funny thing is, Andy, they think that that's a compliment.
Because we've got armadillos down our trousers.